they said it wasn't raining. Okay. Otherwise, I come okay,
Just made it.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And welcome to this wonderful day of celebration of people coming together across the globe, different time zones in this really historical moment for world peace. And so we also have a chance to come together in this community and show our support and let our hearts pour out, and hopefully our world leaders are taking note that we really are serious about world peace. And this is what the talk today is all about. And I'm going to ask that it be a collective effort. Would that be okay?
Yes.
And I know that all of you were, hopefully you picked out a piece of paper out of the basket. If you haven't, we'll make sure you have one at the conclusion of my talk today, or my presentation. I'd like for each of you to read, if you feel like it, one of the world leaders' quotes about world peace, and this will be a way where we all can unify and come together and share in this day. And then we're going to go out and play some more in the park, right? So I don't want to get too serious about what the topic is, but because it doesn't call for seriousness so much as joy. Peace is all about joy. And I'm really delighted to be able to share where this journey I went on, because I meditated on the word peace. And as meditators, which we are taught to do here, I sat and meditated on it. And the words came up to me, and I looked at Matthew 5 and the Beatitudes. And I went right down to number 9, and it said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the children of God." So when I look out here today, I want you to know that I know that you're all peacemakers, and I know you're all children of God. And in that phrase that was given by Jesus up on the Mount of Olives, he was giving these Beatitudes. But this one has always been very close to me, to think of being a peacemaker. Do you all feel that? Do you all feel you're the peacemakers and you're children of God? And notice it doesn't say that it's only a certain people or a certain group or a certain nation. It's for everyone who takes up and claims that they're a peacemaker. You're a child of God. So it's so inclusive and it's so loving, and that's so important to know. So I went into my meditation about the word peace. And the word, I went back to the root where I could go and being taught in my meditation, back to the word Jerusalem, Salem, which is where the word peace comes from. The word shalom and Salem actually mean peace. And I thought, isn't that fascinating? And I went further back into that, because Jerusalem actually means the city of peace. So that when we pray, just as Jesus and others did, they go up into Jerusalem, to the city of peace, which also holds the temple and the tabernacle. And this is where we set out to find peace. I've noticed a lot of people today are waiting to experience peace, to have peace in their life. What are we waiting for? I know that our greatest leaders, world leaders such as His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, Mahatma Gandhi, Yogananda, they all had a similar message. And we have something similar here that we say, that if you want peace, you must be the peace you want in this world. It's a collective truth. So I began to think, well, what must I do to have this in me? And I've got a little drawing here. As I went into my meditation, it really started pouring out. And this is sort of Judeo-Christian, but it actually is global. And what we're trying to say, we want to be the change we wish to see. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the children of God. And so there are some formulas if you say, well, what's the roadmap? And I don't want to wait anymore. So what part can I play if I want to be the peace? Well, in the Bible Metaphysical Dictionary, it says that another name for Jehovah, Jehovah's name actually means not Lord. That is fictitious. His name is actually I am that I am. That's the Old Testament Jehovah. But there's another name that Jehovah had. And this is all new to me. This is Spirit pouring out this information. And it's called Jehovah Shalom. I am peace. I thought, whoa. So I thought, well, then we're already being told that we should have communion and a relationship with Jehovah so that that spirit comes into us too, and that we can truly have peace in our life. Well, this Jehovah Shalom, you've heard the expression saying, shalom brother, shalom sister, go in peace brother, and go in peace sister. What that really is, it's a blessing being poured out from God, from Jehovah, to all of you. And it does not just mean the cessation of strife or the lack of war in your life. It actually is a blessing saying that I am giving you abundance. I am making you perfect, whole, and complete. I am the source of all supply, and I am peace. I thought, well, I want to put that on. And then I want to go out and bless everyone else. And this is just getting more interesting by the moment. So Jesus had many names, like a wayshore, but he also, Jesus the Christ, I should say, actually means the Prince of Peace. So we have the Old Testament, we have the New Testament, and it's talking about if you want to experience peace, then you really have to go within and you have to say, I am peace. And in fact, it goes on to say there's more formula here. It says that you sit and you go up into Jerusalem, which is the city of peace, and this within your body is right behind your actual physical heart, right up here in a circle area, just above, it's in the solar plexus and in the heart. And they say that this is actually the center of great power and great energy, and this is where the radiating Christ in you radiates out all the faculties of God, including peace. So it's a powerful thing to learn. So when we sit and we get silent and go into the silence, which instead of turning outside in the world looking for peace, we put on peace and we meditate upon it, something very interesting seems to happen. It's a physical experience. It's not something the intellect can grasp. The intellect is more egoic, unfortunately. It's represented by Jericho, and I'll get to that in a minute. And it is that part of mind that actually creates the struggles, creates the strife, creates the differences, the divisions. It creates all these struggles. It creates warring in man, so that eventually we have warring in the world. So this is why we start with ourselves, so that we start ending the war within ourselves. We're going to put on, and they call it in the New Testament, the regeneration. And what they're talking about is to regenerate our mind so that we put on a divine mind, a mind that thinks and acts and is congruent. We use that word here a lot, but we must be congruent in being peace so that when we speak and we act and we think, it's in harmony, it's in peace. So this is putting on a regenerative mind that is the Christed mind, if you will, and you can call it by any other name that you think of as far as source or God. It matters not, but it does require that we use this formula. It is said in the Bible that we have more than one body. What do they mean by that? Well, it says we have a terrestrial body and we have a celestial body. And for these two things to happen, we want to see the terrestrial body, or the mind of man, be brought up and ascend up, which is the mounting up into the holy place, Jerusalem. And we want to bring down our Holy Christ self, and it forms the perfect six-pointed star. Now, someone say, well, that's the Star of Jerusalem, Solomon's star. It's actually an ancient symbol for peace and for God in man, divinity in man. And it goes back to ancient times, to solar brotherhoods and sisterhoods on the earth, thousands of years before. So it is a universal symbol of God in you, everywhere present. So I'm learning very quickly that there's a lot going on here, and we want to we get to the point where we have turned in so often in commune. And why wouldn't we want to pray? Because we pray, we meditate on this very aspect of I am peace. You begin to feel a quickening. It's something that can be intellectualized. It must be felt. And as it's felt, it begins to blossom out and radiate out, and you become transformed. It's an actual process of formula where we can transform our lives from the inside out. And that's what we're being asked to do. And when we're of this new mind, then we want to go out and share with the world We want to share, and everything we do is in congruency. And we're walking and talking and thinking in peace. I am peace. And we find ways to go with our renewed mind. How to help people. How to bring more compassion to the world. How to bring in true altruism, which is a different kind of love. It's not an attached type of love. It's the agape type of love, not the eros type of love. And this is what's being asked. And as we change our state of mind, we go out and we cooperate with others, and they change their state in cooperation and love and in compassion. And we change our state of California, and we get in cooperation with all the states of the United States, because we have to start with us. Then we start with our community. Then we start with the state of California, because we've got to clean things up here first if we're really going to show others that it works. So it starts with us on a cellular level, mentally. It starts with our community. It starts with our state. And that creates its own unified field. And then we go out and we work cooperatively with other states to raise them up to a higher state where we're choosing better leadership that represent a high ethical and moral fiber, that represent godly faculties. That's what we really want. So then we build up a great nation. And then collectively we work with all nations, the United Nations, and we actually have leadership that's representing our higher state of mind. So this is a formula. How can we change the world? It starts with us, and it goes out and out in a ripple effect until we have this unified field. And in this collective consciousness, we can have lasting peace. We can have heaven on earth. This is a way to do it. So, think of this merging down to this point and this merging up, and you have your six-pointed star. And in the center is Jerusalem, is the I am that I am. And you're making the difference. So I have today a little formula that I've been taught by Yogananda, and by Mahatma Gandhi, and by the Judeo-Christian teachings, and world leaders all alone. This is a collective. You must be the change you want to see in the world, by Mahatma Gandhi. Number one, be the change. Put on the new mind. We must be peace to have peace. We must stop warring within, so there's no more warring without. So be the peace. Commune with God, Source, and see what happens to you if there isn't a quickening in your nature. Let God divinely guide you into a new creative way of living, loving, being, and expressing. We have a creative, natural energy and force. It's a gift. Go out and build a new world. Spirit will show you how. Forgive and let go of the past. Rhonda knows a lot about that. She teaches all about forgiveness, and by gosh, it's so important, because those are old wounds. Those are things that happened in the past. And we really can't do much about it, but we can't keep letting it affect us and hold us back to the truth of being here now and what we can learn and be. So we want to let that person go and bless them. We want to let the situation go and bless it. We want to be healed, and we want to be fully here now. And I am peace. I want to be peaceful. Focus on the present moment, because this is the only time we have to choose to pick up, to say, I am peace. Only in this moment can we make a difference. Activate it, be it. Seek a brotherhood and sisterhood mentally for all people, all nations. Bring in true altruism. We are humanity. We are one species. Regardless, every one of us, no two people really look alike. Even identical twins have a slightly different look. So we're unique, but we are people on this planet. And we, the people of this planet, have to work collectively and cooperatively and with love. Be lifted up and be joyful. So look at everyone as your brother and sister, because they are. God is in all, through all. And take action. Pray, meditate. Be of service. Create more possibilities and be in cooperation with others. And above all, bring your compassion. Be congruent. Be authentic. Be your true self. Happiness is when we think and say and do in harmony. That is real happiness. Be persistent. Perpetually seek communion with God. Remember to ask, to seek, to knock, and then believe and know, because it's already on its way. These are formulas that work. Be grateful, be glad in it, be joyful, be peace. I am peace. Shalom, namaste, Ruskot, peace. I am peace. Thank you. And now I've got your friends coming out to share collectively today. And so our first person, if you'll come up, April, she's going to share a quote.
Good morning, everyone. I'm April, in case you don't know.
Hi, April.
I'm going to be reading A Human Approach to World Peace by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. It is not enough to make noisy calls to halt moral degeneration. We must do something about it. Since present-day governments do not shoulder such religious responsibilities, humanitarian and religious leaders must strengthen the existing civic, social, cultural, educational, and religious organization to revive human and spiritual values. Where necessary, we must create new organizations to achieve these goals. Only in doing so can we hope to create a more stable basis for world peace. Living in society, we should share the sufferings of our fellow citizens and practice compassion and tolerance, not only towards our loved ones, but also towards our enemies. This is the test of our moral strength. We must set an example by our own practice, for we cannot hope to convince others of the value of religion by mere words. We must live up to the same high standards of integrity and sacrifice that we ask of others. The ultimate purpose of all religions is to serve and benefit humanity. This is why it is so important that religion always be used to affect the happiness and peace of all beings and not merely to convert others. For renewal of human values and attainment of lasting happiness, we need to look to the common humanitarian heritage of all nations all over the world. May this essay serve as an urgent reminder lest we forget the human values that unite us all as a single family on this planet. I have written the above lines to tell my constant feeling. Whenever I meet a foreigner, I have always the same feeling. I'm meeting another member of the human family. This attitude is deepened. My affection and respect for all beings. May this natural wish to be my small contribution to the world. I pray for a more friendly, more caring, a more understanding human family on this planet. To all who dislike suffering, who cherish lasting happiness, this is my heartfelt appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. His Holiness Dalai Lama.
I am sure that many people share my concern about the present worldwide moral crisis and will join in my appeal to all humanitarians and religious practitioners who also share this concern to help make our societies more compassionate, just, and equitable. I do not speak as a Buddhist or even a Tibetan, nor do I speak as an expert on international politics. Rather, I speak simply as a human being, as an upholder of the humanitarian values that are bedrock not only of Mahayana Buddhism, but of all the great world religions. From this perspective, I share with you my personal outlook that 1. Universal humanitarianism is essential to solve global problems. 2. Compassion is the pillar of world peace. 3. All world religions are already for world peace in this way, as are all humanitarians of whatever ideology. Each individual has a universal responsibility to shape institutions to serve human needs. As one brought up in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, I feel that love and compassion are the moral fabric of world peace. Let me first define what I mean by compassion. When you have pity or compassion for a very poor person, you are showing sympathy because he or she is poor. Your compassion is based on altruistic considerations. On the other hand, love towards your wife, your husband, your children, or a close friend is usually based on attachment. When your attachment changes, your kindness also changes. It may disappear. This is not true love. Real love is not based on attachment, but on altruism. In this case, your compassion will remain as a humane response to suffering, as long as beings continue to suffer. This type of compassion is what we must strive to cultivate in ourselves, and we must develop it from a limited amount to the limitless. Undiscriminating, spontaneous, and unlimited compassion for all sentient beings is obviously not the usual love that one has for friends or family, which is alloyed with ignorance, desire, and attachment. The kind of love we should advocate in this wider love that you can have even for someone who has done harm to you, your enemy.
Now, I'd like to welcome once again our shaman, Alan Marshall Sims. Thank you, Alan.
Hello. So, we're going to work with peace from within, and we're going to extend it out. So we're going to do a bit of work. So I'd like you to close your eyes or get into a relaxed state with your eyes open. However you do what you do when you do it, do that. So I'd like you to sit with the idea of peace. Not so much the ideas you've been given about peace or what you've read about peace. Those can be available to you, certainly. What I'd like you to do in this moment is get a sense of peace as it is, not peace as you've known it before. Peace as it is. Peace as an aspect of consciousness rather than as a word, rather than as an idea or something that we think would be nice to have at some point. Recognize that peace is an aspect of consciousness. Get in touch with that aspect of consciousness. The consciousness of peace. Experience it within yourself. Find the area within your body that holds peace, that generates peace within you. Connect to that. And allow that peace that generates from within, the actual consciousness of peace, to begin to extend from that place within, filling your body. Filling your body with the peace generated from within. And recognize that you and your peace are connected. And that you and your peace are connected to those people in your life. The animals and the plants that are in your life. All the things that you're connected to. Allow that peace that's generating from within to flow out and be in connection with the centers of peace within the people in your life. And encourage the peace centers within all the people that you are connected to connect to all the people that they are connected to. So that we have this grid of light, this grid of peace, connected connecting all of the human family with all of the other species on the planet and wherever else you might be connected to. So that all this connection, this peace flowing to and from each individual continues to generate within each individual, in, through, and as yourself being the peace that you want to experience in yourself and in the world around you. And when you look out at the world, when you greet each person, greet them from that place of peace within you. And make a point of, when you meet someone, or even when you're meeting someone you've known a long time, again, extend from your peace center that line of light to their peace center, wherever it may be within them, so that you can be the peace you want to be in the world. So shall we all? Aho.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. And no coincidence today, I wanted to share this with you. I think it's fitting. This is an old symbol, beautiful symbol, universal symbol of the white dove. And they were talking about this today in the song about waterfalls and rainbows. And actually this was a symbol that was given Noah after the flood. He had on board the ark doves. And he knew that there would be a sign that the Lord would say, the waters are receding and the storm is over. And sure enough, he gave a sign of a rainbow. The rainbow then became a covenant between God and his people once again, and said, never again shall I see this world go through a catastrophe like that, where there's very little life left. And so the covenant was the rainbow, but it was also the dove. And on board the ark, Noah said, it's the doves, because the doves will know if there's land anywhere out there, a place where the waters have receded, the doves will find that. So he released the doves, and they were gone for a while, but then they came back. And there was no sign that the waters had receded. Then he got the message from God again, release the doves. And he released the doves, and the doves took longer, but they came back finally. And with them, they brought the olive branch. And it was saying, there's life out there. And then God said again, release the doves. And the doves didn't come back. They had found land. And thus began a new generation of people with God. So I wanted to share that with you today. And now, it's time. Please help me in sharing what you have to do today. And we're going to have a little piece of paper. Anybody without their little piece of paper? Okay. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. You can just pass the microphone. And are you in? We'll start in the back until it goes forward.
This one's from my man Mahatma Gandhi. An eye for an eye only makes the whole world blind.
This one's from Dwight D. Eisenhower. He says, peace and justice are two sides of the same coin.
This one is from www.godreads.com. God can't give us peace and happiness apart from himself, because there is no such thing.
This one I think a lot of people know. I gotta sing it. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
step at a time. And this is by Lyndon Johnson.
You cannot find peace by avoiding life. Virginia Woolf.
Peace is not absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Ronald Reagan.
While you are proclaiming peace with your lips, be careful to have it even more fully in your heart. Francis of Assisi.
I'm not sure if I can pronounce the quote. Jahar Halal Nehru says, "Peace is not a relationship of nations. It is a condition of mind brought about by serenity of soul. Peace is not merely the absence of war. It is also a state of mind. Lasting peace can come only to peaceful people."
This is from Nelson Mandela. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner.
This is, I prefer peace, but if trouble must come, let it come in my time, so that my children can live in peace. Thomas Paine.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war, that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word. Martin Luther King Jr.
I'm concentrating on staying happy, having peace, being happy, remembering what is important, taking in nature and animals, spending time reading, trying to understand the universe, where science and spiritual meet. Joanne Jett.
Word from that. Yeah.
Peace begins with a smile. Mother Teresa.
Yeah. Words of that.
The most valuable possession you can own is an open heart. The most powerful weapon you can be is an instrument of peace. Carlos Santana.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Martin Luther King.
When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. From my man, Jimi Hendrix.
An eye for an eye will only ends up making the whole world blind. This one's from Buddha: to enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must discipline and control one's own mind. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him.
This from George Orwell. People sleep peacefully in their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf.
Those who are at war with others are not at peace with themselves. William Hazlitt.
We are not at peace with others because we are not at peace with ourselves. And we are not at peace with ourselves because we are not at peace with God. Thomas Merton.
War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. George Orwell.
Thomas Campbell, First bring peace with yourself, and you can also bring peace to others. Coincidentally, my name means peace.
By St. Francis. Never be in a hurry. Do everything quietly and in a calm spirit. Do not lose your inner peace for anything whatsoever, even if your whole world seems upset.
Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet.
Yeah, who said that?
Thich Nhat Hanh.
I just did, but think on it. Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. Fighting for peace is like screwing for virginity, George Carlin.